So I just had one of the most incredible experiences of my life, and I want to share that story with you guys. Yesterday afternoon at around 3:20 p.m., I left my house. I ran away. I've struggled with mental health for a while, and one thing led to another, and I've been feeling the need to just go, just leave, just walk away from everything, disconnect, see what it's like to be on your own, see the privilege I have of living this life. And it's ironic to tell you this because I'm sitting here at home right now on my bed, and I recognize that. I just got back this morning, and I haven't even showered yet. I haven't even changed. I slept in the clothes that I left in. So, where do I start? This day was a sobering day for me, and I'm here to share that story with you guys today. Now, I didn't bring much because I knew that the more I carried, the less distance I'd be able to cover. Heavier packs is slower travel time. But I brought some essentials. I got some food along the way, and Oreos, and bought some baby wipes to shower with. Pretty gross. It's how you remove sweat. It's how you take care of hygiene. Some water, some muffins, a whole bunch of Ensures, because I knew I probably wouldn't be eating well. So I figured, well, I might as well bring some protein along the way. More clothes, still just one change of clothes. Some paper. I like to take notes a lot, and I was thinking maybe I'd get into songwriting. I've also brought my medical recommendation for medical marijuana in case I wanted to escape from my reality for a bit. This GPS locator beacon that I registered the night before, my brother got this for me, and it works anywhere in the world as long as it has clear skies. And I knew I'd be in the city. I wouldn't be lost out in the woods. So I figured I probably wouldn't need it, but it just felt safer to bring it along. I brought a pack of seeds in case I wanted to plant some flowers. And I forgot. I brought a toothbrush and a shaver. Brought a ton of rubber bands. And my meds. I forgot to take my meds. I also brought a battery pack, charging wire, charging block, and my phone. I want to share this story with you guys because it was a really sobering experience for me as somebody who deals with mental health issues. That's the reason I left in the first place. I've gotten into drugs, legal ones only, and I found what I was looking for. Everything I was looking for. Now, to start my journey, I didn't know where I was going to go. I just knew that I wanted to get going. So I left, and the one destination I had in mind was a church. It's a place that has a lot of significance in my life because it's where I got with my ex. I visit this church every now and then, but I don't go inside. I just go to the fountain outside, dip my fingers in the water, and draw a cross on my forehead. I'm not too religious, but I'm finding my way around religion, and it's helping a lot. When I was in Carson, I realized I hadn't eaten anything yet, so I stopped at a McDonald's, got some chicken nuggets, got a bunch of napkins because I figured I'd probably need napkins later. Then I stopped at a CVS. I got some baby wipes and some Oreos. Sorry if I look like a mess, by the way. I'm sweaty and I haven't showered. This is what they're for. After that, I didn't know where to get going, so I just kept walking. I decided, you know what, where can I stay the night? And the answer that came to mind was the beach. Maybe I can sleep at the beach, and they have public restrooms there. I decided to walk from Torrance through Carson to the church, and then to Long Beach. In total, I walked almost 6 hours. About 13 miles. Oh my god. If you've been walking for a long time and you sit down, it gets pretty bad. My feet were swollen, my toes were red, my knee was aching. I didn't start to feel unsafe until I made it to Long Beach. I didn't realize just how dangerous the area was. People looked at me funny. People were watching me. I was covered in sweat. I looked exhausted. And I was. And people started to notice. People started to look at me. I started to get some head turns. I also stopped and petted a cat. It was really cool. And then these kids, as I was leaving, the kids yelled at me, "My cat! My cat!" And I turned around, really freaked out. And I realized, oh, they're just kids. By the time I made it to the beach, it was already nighttime. So I didn't know what to do, and I just sat down for a while in the sand. At this point, it was about 9:30 p.m. And so I chilled there for a while. I just relaxed in the sand, watched the stars, listened to the ocean, and just thought about my life. Just contemplated, I'm actually here right now. This is happening, and I'm gonna spend the night at the beach. That didn't end up happening. Some police in a car came by kicking people off the beach at a little after midnight, maybe around 12:20, 12:30. So I left and I looked for some lit areas to stay. And I found a shoreline yacht club that was closed, but they had their lights on. So I sat outside on the front stairs for a while, and I spent maybe the next 3 hours there until around 3 in the morning. When 3 came around, I started noticing this guy. He was going around yelling, calling for a girl named Stacy. He kept passing by me and watching me, and I started to feel really unsafe. This guy starts yelling at somebody on the docks. "Stacy, I know you're there. Come out up here, or I'm gonna come down there, and it's gonna be ugly." Turns out, the person on the docks wasn't Stacy. It was an old white man who yelled at the guy, "You better leave or I'm calling the cops." And he did call the cops. A little bit later, the cops came, and they questioned me. They said, "What's going on?" And that really annoyed me, actually. They made it seem like I was the problem. So I said, "Nothing." I'm really bad at remembering things, and the only reason that I do remember anything right now is because I took notes. So the police told me I couldn't stay in that area, and so I didn't. I asked them, "Where can I stay then?" And they said the bus stop. As I was walking there, I found a little place called Shoreline Village, and there were some tables and chairs there, so I figured, hey, I'd stay there instead. It was nicely lit, looked like a good area. But then the guy came. He came again, and he found me. And at this point, I thought maybe I'm in a bit of trouble, because he was headed straight for me. And he said, "Hey dude, are you alright?" And he said something about sitting here alone. I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But I felt really unsafe. I felt like he was gonna come back. So I realized I didn't want this guy as my enemy. I had 2 boxes of Oreos, and I asked him, "Hey dude, do you want to share some Oreos?" And he said, "Hell yeah, brother." And he sat with me, and he talked for a little bit. He was a Crip, I believe for 12 or 14 years. I don't remember which. But he had lived a hard life, and that things at the moment weren't really getting better. He said how he was really in pain right now. His heart was hurting because of a girl named Stacy, who he loved to death, but he caught fucking another dude just that night. So he was telling me he didn't want to hurt her. He didn't want to fight her. He just wanted to sit down with her and talk for a while. I didn't know what to think. I just let him keep talking. He started to tell me that if she didn't come out, he was going to do a whole balloon of heroin that he had in his bag. And I never saw the heroin, so maybe it didn't exist. I'm not an accomplice to a crime, okay? I didn't know the guy. What are we talking about? This story's made up. As a matter of fact, I made it all up. And I sympathized with him. I told him, man, that's really tough, because I know what it's like to go through a breakup. We all do. It's really tough. I keep doing a lot of pauses right now, and that's because my memory is just so awful. Now, I started to ask him a bit about his life. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His name was Brian. And he told me how his mom's dying of cancer, and that's been really tough on her. He also told me that he had 2 kids, 10 and 5, back in Pittsburgh. And he said he wanted to see them again, and he was planning to go back soon. But he said he got a job offer out here as a construction worker for $14 an hour, and he was thinking of taking it, so maybe he wouldn't go back so soon. He told me he had been doing heroin for about 9 years, if I remember correctly, and he said he had been sober for 9 months before coming to Long Beach, and being down here was just so tough that he fell into the old habit. He also told me that he never wanted his kids to see his heroin habit, He tried to keep all that from them. But one of the really sad things he shared with me was the mother of his children didn't share those same values, and she would use heroin in front of the kids. That's why they knew what it was. That's why they knew what a needle was, what a balloon was. I told him I respected that about him, but that was really good. His kids shouldn't be involved with that. At this point, a security guard came by and asked us to leave. They said that Shoreline Village was closed, and we couldn't sit there. So, I told him I'm probably going to head to the bus stop. And we walked for a bit together, and as we were going to go our separate ways, I said, "Actually, I don't know where the bus stop is. Do you know?" And he said, "I'll take you there." And when we finally got there, he sat with me. He just wanted me to understand a little bit more about him. And I wanted to know more about him. I wanted to understand his story. He told me that while he was sitting there with me, nobody would mess with us because everybody knew that he would throw down. He carried a screwdriver shank with him for self-defense. And he told me he was getting a 9mm gun the next day. And as he opened his pack of Oreos, he told me he was blessed today because I brought him those Oreos. Because I offered him that. I offered him kindness. And he said in return I would be blessed one day. And I certainly hope so, because things have been hard for me too, and I could use some blessings. But for now, a pack of Oreos was all that I had to offer, so I gave him that. And as we sat there eating our Oreos, he told me more about his life. I asked him a bit about what got him into drugs, because as somebody who was looking for heroin and found it, I wanted to know, is this what I want for my life? And I didn't think I wanted that for my life already, because he told me he was sober, and I believed him, but he didn't seem to be in the best shape. He said he hadn't slept in 3 days, and it showed. As he was talking to me, his eyes would roll in the back of his head, he'd start falling asleep mid-sentence. It was tough to watch. Oh yeah, right, so about his drug habits and how he got into them. That part wasn't really clear to me, because he started falling asleep as he was telling me, but I started to ask him, did his mom do heroin? And he shared with me that she did, because of him. She was dying of cancer, and she had really bad back pains, so he would give her some heroin to take care of the pain. A couple times during our conversation, Brian left to go look for cigarettes from somebody, or to go talk to people, or to look for Stacy. He would yell across the street thinking he saw Stacy, and he'd go over there, and he'd leave me with the bag and tell me, "Don't let anybody touch my bag. Don't let anybody touch my stuff." And I'd keep watch on it. I was sitting there at a bus stop at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, watching over a bag of heroin and all his stuff. And he started to show me his tattoos. He was covered in tattoos, and he told me he did them all himself. I thought that they were pretty good, and I thought that that was a really cool story that he did them himself. It looked like a lot of work, and there were a lot of tattoos. Every time he left, I'd feel a little bit nervous, and I'd just be waiting there watching his bag thinking, oh god, if the police come right now, I'm fucked. How do I explain this? I've got 2 backpacks, one of them filled with heroin and crystal meth, and what was I going to tell them? It's not mine. That wasn't going to work. Brian also told me a story about how about a week or 2 ago, he was jumped by 40 people by the 7-Eleven in Long Beach. And he told me they were all trying to stab him, so he swung down as much as he could to defend himself. I don't know if he got stabbed, it didn't seem like it, he seemed fine, and I didn't ask too much about the story. But it definitely scared me that happens in the area I was sitting right now, 4 or 5 in the morning, and that I had planned to spend the night on my own. After a while I realized I want to take a picture with Brian. I want to remember this, the man that I spoke with. And I asked him, hey, if this makes you uncomfortable, feel free to say no, but can I get a picture with you? And he was totally cool, and we took a picture together. And I had this little cat trinket that I had taken with me earlier in the day, and I forgot to mention, that I asked my brother about. And he told me he got the cat trinket on the Shikoku pilgrimage in Japan. A traveler gave it to him, and he told me I can have it and pass it on. But I think I found somebody who needed luck a little bit more than I did, so I passed it on to Brian. And Brian asked me, are you sure? And I said, yeah man, I want you to have it. Now I'm telling you guys this story because I want to share how much of a sobering experience it was for me, that I wanted to try heroin, and part of me doesn't know if I could refuse it if I was ever offered. But I know that seeing Brian, I realized this is not the life I wanted for myself, and I wished the best for Brian, but it was just not for me. So I realized I'd be coming home in the morning. My legs were on fire. I was dying. And I realized that this is not for me. This is the path that I was headed down, and I was not going to go down it. I felt like I had found fulfillment in my journey, that I really learned something. I learned about the human experience through the stories of another. And I didn't get to share my own story, but that's okay. I'm sharing the stories of others with you guys today. And maybe another day I'll share my own story with you guys. So at the end of the day, around 5:47 a.m., Brian and his friend left, and they asked me if I wanted to come with them. And I said, no thank you. I think I'm going to get going now, because light was starting to come out. And I told them I'd be walking home, but I realized pretty quickly I wasn't going to be walking home. It just wasn't safe. It was another 6 hours back, and I just called an Uber. And on my Uber home, I just thought about the experience I had, and really had this plan formulated that yes, I'm going to make this vlog. I already knew that I wanted to do it because I had started taking videos of the area. I took a picture with Brian. But it really cemented it for me that yes, this is something I wanted to make. This is a story I wanted to share. Now, when I got home around 7 a.m., I crashed. I fell asleep on the floor. My mom was sleeping in my bed. After a couple hours of sleep, here I am. I'm making the vlog. I hope the video is great. I hope the audio is great. I've been having so many mic problems. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think it was the stupidest idea ever. And I'm sure it was. But I've found what I was looking for. I found something in my soul search. And I found a story. And one of the reasons I've wanted to get into vlogging was to make stories. And I have one now. This is my first vlog. This is my first story. One of the things that I want to do to help myself and help others is share their stories. And I want to be living my best life. So I want to get into vlogging so I can live that best life for you guys. Even if I'm doing it for the camera, it's still me living my best life if I'm going out there and making these stories, sharing these adventures. And I'm going to continue to do that for you guys. So thank you guys for listening to my story today. I hope I didn't bore you too much, and I'm sure I forgot some details along the way, but it was a good time. Until the next one, it's your boy Seltanu signing out. Peace.